I think Joe might be here. Alex, is Joe here?
The JC showed up.
Blink twice if you're in Milwaukee, Joe.
Great.
But I check his mic too. But yeah, man, that's so cool. It's so cool to be able to sit here on the Ain't Done Yet was off of the Dark Money album. You know,
That's right. It was off of the
Ain't
Dark
Done Yet.
Money album.
But you know, I'm
Damn it,
almost
guy sitting on top. I love that.
I'm almost happy, in a sense, that we kind of sat back on that, and we were forced to sit back on it, right?
Yeah.
Because now we have this this concept that alludes to. I'm a huge fan of stand-up comedy, right? Like It is, to me, the most difficult and challenging performance art.
Oh,
you know,
you gotta be on top of your game to get through an hour set of that stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, from the top.
Hey,
buddy. Back in here. What's up, big dog? How you doing, brother? What's going on?
What's up, man? How are you, brother?
Man, I'm alive, bro.
Good to see you, man.
You fucking nailed this shit. This shit is
Hey, we're trying to set it up proper.
Welcome.
You know?
sexy, bro.
Right on, man.
I love this shit.
Right in, bro. Coming in hot.
I don't think that, that can ever do anybody any good.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Positive vibes all the way through.
I mean,
We understand everybody's mistakes. We understand that, they did shit wrong. We understand we did shit wrong. You guys did shit wrong.
Yeah.
At times. We also did a lot of shit right. They did shit right too.
Yeah.
We went hard. That's the thing, is we went hard in the fucking paint on that Jamie Josta podcast about this guy fucked us and that guy fucked us and this guy. You want to know the real story behind it, behind the music, and it didn't do anything positive.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, and he's got a like that dude has a big podcast, but nobody gave a fuck.
Right.
Like, wah.
Yeah. The wham. But it's cool to be able to like offer like the insight, like our more aged insight on it.
Well, I mean, I think that's what's so great for bands. These younger bands that are up and coming, they can kind of understand, and it is definitely a different world for bands today, than it was for you guys just 15 years ago. But still understanding the trials that you guys had to go through to get from one place to the next place, and to understand, that this, don't stop, won't stop attitude, ain't done yet attitude, about things is what keeps you guys here today.
Yeah. That's essentially the name of this conversation. Ain't done yet. So it's AP is the first guest, and part 2 of this wonderful conversation is having you sit here with us. So thank you for joining us today, JC.
Yeah,
Joe Connor in the house.
Rolling in, man.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here, man.
Yeah, why don't you give us a little bit of your background, man? About what, kind of start from the beginning of music on your end of things, and just give us a quick synopsis and a walkthrough on all that.
Yeah, man, I was one of those starving artists in LA when it first jumped off. When I moved out here from college, I went to Berkeley in Boston. And then once I decided to move out west, which was like 2013-ish, somewhere around there, I was just like kind of grinding it out, just hitting all the jams and all the, sheds and stuff like that, and just trying to get out there. And then I got a call from my buddy who is a music director. At the time, he was MD for this new country group that was being formed. And he hit me. He's like, yeah, I heard you're in LA. And I'm like, yeah, what's up? And he's like, are you down to like, do this new country group that I'm putting together? And I was like, does it pay money? Like, sure. I'm super down. Like, I just need a gig. Like,
you got any greenery to come?
Yeah. As long as it pays in cash, I'm down. So he was like, yeah. So I figured I'd just be like doing like, a couple hits here and there, and then would just kind of go from there. And, a couple gigs ended up being like 6 or 7 years of like, touring in the country circuit and playing.
What was the name of that band?
So it started out as Honky Tonk Boombox. That was literally the name of it. And then as
I assume you brought the boombox.
That was me. Yeah, that was my part. Yeah. And then as the band kind of progressed and kind of got more notoriety and started doing like more serious things, the name changed to Redwood Black. And that was like the original, because initially I think it grew bigger than they even thought it would initially. Mm-hmm. I think they just thought we're going to do some corporate gigs and some bar stuff and get, and pay our bills.
Right.
And it turned into like, we're opening for Jake Owen and Maren Morris and Lady Antebellum, and we're playing Stagecoach and we're touring. And I don't think that was the plan originally. Right. And so the name was that at some point in the middle, it was just like, we should probably get like a more serious name if we're going to be on these bills with these like, legit artists from Nashville and things like that. So we changed the name and did some pretty cool stuff. And then like towards, the end of that, we started like, people started poaching our band. Like, you know what I mean? Like major artists, like we're just trying to get like, me or my boy who's the MD or our auxiliary guitar guy. And so eventually I figured it would work because we were making money, but we weren't making that much money.
Right.
And so eventually like a couple guys just started leaking out to Nashville. And so shout out to my guy Alex and Joe they're in Nashville now. And so I kind of saw the writing on the wall and started focusing on some other stuff because I was like, I can do the Nashville thing, but I wasn't really ready to do it. And then it kind of just felt like a trend. It was like a time where everyone in LA was moving to Nashville. Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah.
And so I remember that trend.
Yes. Yeah. And so I was just like, that's not really first of all, I love Nashville.
Yeah, it is.
I like it better than LA.
Yeah. What you said?
I like it better than LA.
Well, yeah, I do too now. At the time I didn't, but I do too now. And so I was just like, I want to focus on some other stuff. And then like right around that time, I had started doing some other gigs here. Now I always did like,
you're jazz trained, right?
Yeah. Well, yes. Right. So I'm classically trained. I started studying under Sue Jones, who was the percussionist for the Philadelphia Orchestra at the time. Okay. She was like one of my first main instructors. And then from there, I started playing more jazz stuff. It was a lot of orchestral stuff at that time. And then I got with Craig MacGyver, who is a straight ahead like jazz cat, experimental, like all that other stuff. And he blew my mind and took me into a whole nother direction, which set me up perfectly for Berkeley, where they shove jazz down your throat, literally.
I see. Right.
And so, which was obviously it's a gift and a curse with there because there's a lot of rudimentary elements and a lot of like groundwork and learning and theory and everything that just comes from the jazz space. So it's just good. Even if you don't go and, have a world renowned trio, like it's just good to know a lot of those fundamentals that you'll get from being in and around.
And you can use
jazz.
that across the board.
If you can play that stuff, you can play anything. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's the thing that
is it because of the technical difficulty of it, or is it because of it just kind of sets you up rhythmically, I guess?
I think there's a little bit of both. I think the technical aspect of it definitely, if you start out, running a marathon, then when somebody, asks you to do, a 5K or something like that, you're like, well, I used to do, 10, miles a day. So 3 is fine.
Yeah.
So it's kind of that type of thing where it's like, the rudiments and things like that are at such a level that once you start doing things that the popular world takes a liking to, you're like, this is what this is. This is what
this
you're going to pay me this to play pop music,
right?
Or country music. Like I just have to basically keep time. Right. Like this is great. I'm stealing money. You know what I mean? Right, yeah. So that's kind of what it was like coming from like the jazz and the gospel world. Like that's kind of what it was. Like everything else seemed like kind of easy. Yeah. Until I met these guys and they're like, can you play this in odd times? And then we're going to switch. I'm like, oh, I thought I was slick. But yeah, so that's kind of how it was. And then I started playing like, some rock stuff here or there from a buddy of mine's, Lupine, touring and doing some cool stuff with him. And then like, as I was just kind of hopping around, a buddy of mine, so I met through the country circuit, Keith, from Breaking Benjamin.
Oh, Keith.
Keith Waller.
Yes, Keith Waller. Shout out Keith Waller.
Yeah.
Who we went and did a song with in
King
Nashville.
Walls, man. We did.
Yeah, it's so fun.
Which hopefully we can get that released here at
One of
some
these
point.
days.
We just gotta get JC on.
On principle's sake, we got to get JC playing drums on the
of
song,
course,
Right.
and then it'll be
of course.
The
'cause I
song's
love
about
Keith.
liars too.
It's
so.
perfect.
The
It's
song
perfect,
is
right?
called Liar.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, so that's a perfect otherwise song. Too.
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
It is. Yeah, and I love Keith. And so Keith was the connection to me and these guys.
Okay.
So that was always
I
always.
never
really
realized that Keith put you guys in touch with him.
Yeah.
I remember seeing some of your videos. They were sending me some of your videos and your demo work and stuff, and that's how I knew about the jazz and everything else. I
Yeah.
was like, damn, if that guy can play that,
Yeah,
no problem with that.
yeah.
kind of stuff.
I ended up doing like some stuff. Like in my time of just kind of doing a bunch of one-off stuff. I did some stuff, obviously, like in Nashville with some other different country artists. And at the time, it was kind of like I was doing a bunch of country stuff, and then I was doing a little bit of rock stuff here and there, and then I got hit up by Diamante and was doing some stuff for Dia. But at the time, I wasn't full time like for Dia. Like I was just kind of like subbing some stuff in here or there. Because my buddy who initially called me for that country gig when I first got to LA, he ended up being on one of Dia's tours.
Okay.
So he hits me, and that's how we roll, you know what I mean, when we're doing stuff. So he hits me. He's
Everybody kind of has that small little.
You just have
family
your
gathering.
crew.
You got
Yeah.
your crew.
and
Yep.
that's
I
really
got a guy.
Yeah, that's
got a
really
guy.
the thing that kind of sustains in this industry. It's like a small, big industry where it's like once you find your team, you just stick with that team because everybody else
Everybody's
has their
got
team
something
too.
going,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
that can
yeah.
get you going too.
Yeah. And so he's always kind of been on my team, Joe Davini. And so he was doing some stuff for Diamante. And he's like, you want to come out with Diamante? And I was like, hell yeah. Does that also pay?
Yeah, you're like, no.
No, of course
No,
not.
I'm not interested.
Yeah. But I also really liked her stuff. You know, I was at the point at that time. So that was, light years away from where I was when I moved to LA, where I was just taking anything.
Right.
So at that time,
So you can kind of pick like, okay, I like this.
I was like,
that.
I really liked her stuff, and I like a lot of the stuff that they were doing, and so I was like, yeah, I'll come on and rock with her. And so when they were asking me, I remember talking to Adrian. He's like, we're looking for somebody, but like we don't want to steal you away from Dia. And I'm like, I'm not Dia's drummer. I'm just helping Dia out right now. You know what I mean? And he was like, I don't want to, step on anybody's toes.
Don't
I was like,
poach,
no, I'm
bro,
just,
like you were saying earlier.
yeah. I was like,
Yeah.
no, I'm just like, I was just kind of hopping around at the time. And so we ended up on a hill in Hollywood together.
That Viper Room show, man.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That was
at the after party.
That was it. Yeah. That was a fun night.
Yeah, so that's right. His
That was
first show
crazy.
with
That
us
was the first show.
Yeah.
was at the fucking
The
Viper Room, bro,
yeah.
which is like probably the most cursed
Oh, easily.
venue.
I don't know if there's ever been a good show at the Viper Room
I know.
for anyone
I
ever.
know. I know.
Ever,
I mean, they were boasting at that show, and rightfully so. I'm sure that it's probably everything is all set up and sounds great there now. But they were boasting when we walked into that place that all the sound had been replaced.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right. And it's like, it's all new sound in here. Everything's going to be great. Everything's going to be fantastic. The
Yeah.
problem is that they didn't have any of it dialed in. And then they told you guys, well, we can't fit your cabinets on. the
Take your
top,
take your gear apart.
We had to
Put some
take-
over
remember,
there.
We had to
put
take the
some
whole
over
rack
there.
apart.
Yeah.
Remember that? We had
Yeah.
to take the rack apart with the
Yeah.
in-ears
Mhm.
and the what else?
And we had the video walls and those.
Oh,
were
the
like-
right.
video walls,
dude.
right?
That's right.
You know?
My very first show, I'm screwing in video walls before.
You're like,
before
what-
show. I'm
what the fuck
What's
is this?
happening right
What am I
now?
doing here, man? Dia, where at?
Did you guys leave yet?
Is there still a spot?
I can
on the
get
bus?
these drums knocked down in about 30 minutes.
That show was so rough.
That
It
show was
was.
rough.
That was
man.
rough.
But like
and
you
that
said,
was our
every
first
show at the Viper Room was rough.
Yeah.
The one thing that they told me too is, oh, well, the reason why you guys don't have any bass is because we're not allowed to play bass after 11 o'clock at
right.
night because the neighbors have been complaining. So there's like a sound There's some
But
sound
Viper
violation that they were
30,
making.
40 years.
Yeah, but you've got these people that are right across the street that have $3 to $10 million homes that want to sleep. So at 11 o'clock, they have to cut the noise down to a certain decibel level.
Oh, wow. Okay,
That's what they're telling me.
That's crazy.
That's what they're telling me. Yeah, that's what they told me.
I feel like they
because I'm like,
all
it sounds like tin. What are you guys doing? And they had this like little hole that you have to climb up, right? And there's a guy up there, and he's sitting in this little like cabin room, and he's like mixing the sound up there, and I'm crawling up in there, like peeking at him, like, what are you doing? There's no bass.
There's no
I mean,
low end.
Nick was up there strumming, and he's like, dude, I mean, I don't even need to play.
It was terrible.
You know?
It was terrible.
And Nick double booked himself with females, and he just
Oh my God, that was
pissed
all
off.
stressed.
He was stressed the
jeez.
fuck out.
He was
bro.
It was just a stressful day.
But that after party though, I don't even know how to fuck with. I mean, that's like
I don't know how we
that's
ended
par
up in
for
that
the course,
place,
you know,
but
like-
that was cool.
That was
after-
Mark Hornsby's
just
boy.
played a shitty
Was
show,
it?
but I'm sitting in a mansion now.
That after party was like,
That was cool.
it was a vibe.
I think that was like Joe was like, all right, actually, this ain't too bad.
I was like, I can do this.
These guys are kind of cool.
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
a lot of work, but this is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, that after party was memorable for sure.
and then you came to Vegas shortly after, and we closed down the Hard Rock. We did an acoustic gig.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, man, the Hard Rock. It was like the last shows at the world famous Hard Rock.
And
Who
that
knew
was-
that within 2 months the whole world would
World
be
was
shutting
shutting
down?
That's
down.
crazy.
But we were playing
That's right,
we were
man.
shutting
Yeah.
down the Hard Rock.
because that show was in January
It was.
of 2020.
We did NAMM too.
Oh, right.
We
Yeah.
did
that's
Viper
right.
Room
We
and
did
NAMM
NAMM,
within
right.
like a span of 2 weeks.
Yeah. Which was dope because NAMM was also like the same year. Was it Hailstorm or somebody?
Yeah,
did
Hailstorm
something?
played.
Hailstorm
Yeah,
played there too.
yeah.
Yeah, it was for the Gibson. It was at the
Mhm.
Gibson.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
you guys had done the show, and they did the show, and then you guys got a few shows with Hailstorm too.
That got canceled.
that
Yeah.
got canceled
because of COVID.
pandemic,
But yeah, that was that was going to be the next
Yeah.
set. I think that was set for June.
See, this is now this is what I love about this kind of a dynamic, putting into perspective. Holy fuck me, that the Hard Rock show was Joe's third show,
Yeah.
and that was an acoustic gig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we were like, okay, now what the fuck?
Now what?
are
Then the
we gonna
world
do?
shut down.
Like now, like what? Now what do we do?
Well, I mean, you guys were in the works to go out with Scott Stapp. There
In
was an
Australia or
Australia
something like
gig. There was
that.
like 6 shows that were supposed to be played there.
Yeah.
That all fell off the face of the earth too.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, there was a lot of stuff that was supposed to happen that year that really set. And I mean, it set everybody back.
back.
Yeah.
I mean, it set my business back.
Yeah.
You know, for the event and trade show industry,
Right,
it said
yeah.
a lot of things just come crashing down.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? You had some good ideas to keep us busy here, but
Yeah.
you know that's a story for another time. But
Man, you know,
so
the live streams here were kind of groundbreaking in a sense.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
think,
it was.
yeah.
I think there was like maybe like 1 or 2 other bands who had live streamed at least at the quality level that
yeah,
you had produced here. You know what I mean, JB?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I don't know any band who worked as much as we did in the pandemic. To be
Yeah,
honest,
yes.
I mean, you got to think we did Sturgis. You know,
Yeah, we were
like-
talking about
we were
Sturgis.
just talking about that before. you
Okay,
came
yeah,
in.
so it's like we
you're
did
like,
that.
We'll take every gig, bring it on,
Dude, we did we had the live streams, and the live streams were like shows in themselves because there was like people here and
Yeah.
stuff
Just
like that.
stoked. Yeah.
Yeah, we did I felt like we
were
did a lot.
so busy. We were the busiest band during COVID.
Then we had the Twitch thing going too for a little bit of
Which was
time.
good.
Yeah.
that
We
was
had a couple really good live streams.
Yeah, man.
One of them was like did crazy numbers. They ended up like putting it on the homepage or
Well,
something.
front page. Yeah. We were. That was it's odd. Again, other than supposed, like we were so busy when everybody else.
Yeah,
was
yeah,
not,
it
you
was
know, like,
weird.
That's otherwise too.
And but that's fucking bizarre to me that now that we're talking about it and again putting it in perspective, like this motherfucker came in right when all that shit was happening.
Yeah.
And I mean, most other dudes that have been like, yeah,
and I'm out.
I'm good, bro. I'm good on
Yeah.
this shit. You know,
Still
like,
here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that's camaraderie for sure. You know.
Oh,
Work it
100%.
out.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
Make it
100%.
happen. Work it out.
I think to the camaraderie thing, like I think to your point, had it been anybody else who was just, it was like a business transaction for I would have been out a long time ago. These guys are like brothers to me now.
Oh,
you know
dude.
what I mean?
You watching us go through all the trials and tribulations with our record deals, our management deals, our agent deals. Whew. I would have been gone, dude.
And, but
I mean, a lot of people did go too because they just couldn't handle that truth, right?
Right.
I mean,
and they couldn't. But the difference though was JC coming into that was a proponent of ours instead of like the other motherfuckers were telling us you aren't doing. I would do it better. Let me do it. You guys are fucking it up. Where Joe was like, he already had come from like working at a goddamn record label himself. And being like, look, these motherfuckers are not respecting you at all. Like, know your worth. Like, that's one of the first like truly talented dudes who's telling us, look, you guys are worth more than how these motherfuckers are treating you.
Yeah.
You know, like, and that was eye opening.
Yeah.
So,
I had a unique point of view coming from. I used to work like at full time at Capitol Records. So like part of my background is my degrees in music business and management. That was like what I went for at school. And then, part of my time in LA was meeting Adam Anders and then working for his label Depot Records. And then he did a joint venture with Atlantic Records. And then once that kind of fell apart, he ended up doing a deal with Capitol. And that was the kind of like the big one where they gave us they rolled out the red carpet. They gave us a floor in the Capitol building. And at the time I was just doing like spot dates and stuff like that. But then I was working, like I had a fucking desk in Capitol. Yeah, you know what I mean? So that was like kind of surreal because you see it on movies and stuff. And then like, every day I got a, an ID card and every day I'm scanning in, I'm like sending pictures to my mom. Like, can you believe I work at the Capitol building? Yeah. So being on that side of the business.
Was that the same building? Is that the same Capitol Records building
that we were on top of? We took
pictures
pictures of the top of. We played
inside.
Didn't you do? I thought you guys filmed up there. Didn't you do?
We did a photo shoot up there, but we played in like one of the conference rooms for like, I don't know, whoever the fuck.
That's crazy.
I thought that's where Darker Side of the Moon was filmed.
No. That was just a random.
No, that was
just a random building.
Random high rise in downtown LA.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I just remember the Capitol building because I remember Ford Fairlane. He's falling off. Andrew Dice Clay, my head. Right?
These guys are too young for that, Jay.
Yeah, maybe a little too young.
Yeah. That was pretty surreal though, like standing at the top of the Capitol Records.
Crazy.
Building. It's just like, what?
And homeboy from BC Boys are like
the signature. They kept his signature. He tagged at the seat, like the up at the very top.
Oh yeah,
tagged it. And they like kept it.
Yeah,
It's cool. Picture up there.
Is the Capitol Records? Is that still Capitol or is that sold to? It's still Capitol.
It's still
Records?
Capitol. Yeah, as far as I know. Yeah.
All right. So what made you depart? You depart from there to do music then?
Well, I had started touring a lot more. So like at the time when I ended up at my stint with Adam Anders and his label and everything like that, he had just like officially made me A&R. So I had been with him basically from the time that I was like a runner. Like I worked on Glee. Like so I came in like towards the end of Glee.
Okay.
So I worked on some of those. I was like, in the studios in Calabasas getting, the crew food and stuff like that.
So you were like a PA? Is that
I was, I was like, I did it all. Like I was his driver at one point. Like I drove him around to different, when he would go to these meetings at studio lots and things like that, I would drive him around. And then
I special on that Glee show.
Oh yeah.
Dude,
I watched it.
Can you relate to all of those bad things that were happening?
No, because a lot of that stuff was happening earlier on. So I came towards the end. So by the time I started working with them, there was only about a season or two left before the show kind of ended. A lot of that stuff happened earlier on, and I had heard about it, but not like I was learning stuff watching the documentary because it also wasn't talked about. Like, you know what I mean? Like not amongst
silent underbelly.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know I have no idea. Like, no offense. I mean, I know what Glee is. Never seen one episode. Is this like a fucking Nickelodeon kind of a thing?
It's like that. So, they brought out all the Nickelodeon stuff and then they started bringing out this is like the next series that they're starting to talk about. All the problems that happened. 3 people died that were main characters on that, within this last 10, 15 years.
Holy
so
shit,
yeah, the
really?
main two of them are main characters. One of them, I think, died in Lake Mead. She had fallen off of a boat,
Oh yeah,
and she got her son back
Naya
up on the
I think it was
boat.
Naya.
Yeah,
Oh
Naya.
yeah.
And she couldn't for some reason get back up on the boat, but it was
Wasn't
like a
Lake Mead,
mysterious
but
death.
yeah, that
It may have been Lake Powell. I thought it was
Yeah,
Lake
I
Mead,
think
but it might have
Powell.
been Lake Powell.
Yeah, that's what
Or maybe it was even Lake Arrowhead.
she saved her son.
Yeah, she
but
saved
then
her son, but she died.
But even that was suspicious because the weird thing about it was that all three deaths kind of seemed like they were suicide a little bit. And so even with Naya's, you guys should definitely watch the documentary.
Yeah.
But even with Naya's, like some of the things that happened leading up and things like that made it seem like it could have been accidental, but it also could have been like a suicide type thing. So it was very creepy, like super creepy.
Wow.
A lot of things like that are happening these days that are a little bit creepy and a little bit out of ordinary, and
A lot of people getting suicided, bro.
a lot of people getting suicided. Yeah.
Yeah, but we didn't like it. It wasn't anything that was talked about. Like, you know what I mean? So I learned a lot about, things that happened long before I was there watching that documentary. So that was kind of crazy. But yeah, I was, in the studio and helping with sessions and things like that. Especially towards the tail end. But that was kind of when he was kind of expanding and he was taking on different projects and he was breaking into movies and other TV shows and started to pitch his own shows and things like that. So things got busy and then the label part was growing as well. And so for me, I had signed my first A&R contract with him at that time. And so that was super cool for me. But then I started touring. Like I started touring a lot more. And so that was always, the creme de la creme for me, my bread and butter.
Because I'm assuming that as an A&R guy, you're getting a commission.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's straight commission. Whatever the band makes, you get a piece of that.
Yeah. But then I was also doing like social media marketing and management and things like that at the label. So that was my day rate, like day job part of it.
So you got paid separately.
That was my
for
day to
doing
day.
that.
Yeah. So that was like kind of my day to day there. Because he also had the production company, but then he had his own profile. And so somebody had to manage that stuff. And then there was the music side of it. So there was like the label side and the production side and then his own thing. So there's like a lot of, and it was a small team. So there was also just like a lot of wearing hats and things like that. And so, so once I started getting offers and things like that to go out on the road, I was like, I don't need to be here and do this anymore. I still was doing A&R and things like that. But I left like my desk job at Capitol to start touring more and stuff like that.
Okay.
And so that's his perspective coming in to this project was completely unique to anybody else, really.
It was pretty downplayed for a long time too. Like we didn't really know. We just knew that you played like country music.
Yeah.
And you wanted to like rock a little bit.
Yeah. And like Keith Wallen sends us, links on him and stuff. And I'm like, damn, this motherfucker's in a gospel band. And like, I remember when Joe showed up, I'm like, dude, I'm sorry, man, but I kind of curse a lot, bro. And Jay's like, I don't give a fuck, bro. I was like, oh, shit, okay. All right, never mind.
Because I am a PK.
I was like, bro,
I'm a PK. I'm a pastor's kid. So if you don't know me, and that's all you know of me, you don't know me.
Right.
You know what I mean? Let's just put it that way. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
but you remember that combo?
Yeah.
Where I was like, bro, I'm sorry. Like I kind of curse and say things that are a little offensive. You're like, I don't give a fuck
at all.
I was like, oh, okay, all right, this guy's cool. All right,
Yeah.
we're good.
Yeah, I sent out the we're playing 29 Palms, so I sent out the code of conduct like screenshot.
Yes.
And you should have said, Joe's like, so wait, that means we can't say this, and that. It's
Pretty
like,
much.
Yeah.
that's hilarious, but no, we can't say
Yeah.
You cannot say that.
Yeah, I made sure that was the first thing I forwarded over at all the paperwork. I'm like, screenshot this. Don't say any of this.
Yeah, I would. I probably won't talk much in between the songs at the show. So, yeah.
I mean, talk to me a little bit about that. What, you guys are playing 29 Palms this Friday. Talk to me a little bit about the military stuff that you guys have done in the past and,
Yeah. So depending on when this gets to come out, either we'll have done it, but it's exciting. again, one of those times we just have a conversation. We played 29 Palms. This will be our third time playing. We played 2 times before. We're like, man, those gigs were cool. But the last time we did it was 2018.
Yeah.
And we're like, man, I wonder where, yeah, we would love to get back. And then all of a sudden, bloop, there's an email to John like, hey guys, we got da 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 da. You guys want to come do it? And we didn't know. We didn't know there was a headliner.
Right.
They were just trying to find a headliner. So we're like, yeah, we'll freaking do it. Like, let's go. 29 Palms, awesome. And it's like, oh, it's with Jimmy Eat World, you know, which is like
what?
Which is like, what?
They're one of the most like underrated rock bands, dude.
Mm-hmm.
They kick ass, man.
Yeah.
They're like I saw them open for Incubus at the Hollywood Bowl, and they rocked so fucking hard, and they're just raw. You know, there's no. I mean, maybe now, but when we saw them, there's no tracks. It's just like badass songs, just great musicianship. So it's super exciting to be getting to go back to 29 Palms. The last 2 times it was otherwise playing, you know, which was super cool, you know.
Yeah.
But at the same time, now we're opening up for Jimmy Eat World there. So it's like this double whammy of getting to go back and serve the military community, rock for them, you know, pay it back and say, hey, you guys want a good time? We got the good time. We get to have the good time and play the good time because of you guys sacrificing what you do. And we've even added it now, you know, we've added more to it. And so we have this plan with our Life by Music initiative we have guitars coming with us, 20 guitars we're taking out there. We're going to teach 2 groups of active duty, 10 guitars, 10 students, and we're going to teach them how to rock. And then we're going to give them the guitars, you know, so and that was something. It's interesting how for many years in the band, people were like, what are you doing with Life by Music? Like, what is this? What is this, man? Yeah, another one of those, you know, one of those like things in our repertoire of like, this doesn't make sense. You know, you guys are singing songs about, you know, full disclosure, but then you've got, you know, this coloring book right here that you give to kids, you know, called Guitar Magic. Like, what is this? I was like, dude, this is just who we are, man. Like, we're just being ourselves, you know? And so
back to the definition of otherwise, right?
Yeah, it's other than suppose, you know?
And, you know, we've been, now that JC's in on the conversation as well, it's nice. It's refreshing to have a bandmate who's been supportive of this initiative because in the past, that was not the fucking
nobody
case.
else wanted to do it.
That was nobody understood it. Nobody like like my brother was saying, they're like, what the fuck what?
Yeah.
Like, you want to help kids with music?
Yeah. And you know, veteran, you know, the at-risk youth, kids who've been through trauma, you know, the veterans that we've helped and now active duty, man, it's exciting to be able to like have it come to life, you know, and make it happen. And, you know, we actually, Life by Music has our rhythm camp. Are you confirmed for that with us?
Tomorrow? Or?
On the 24th? Yeah. Awesome. So we're doing a rhythm camp. We're doing a summer camp on May 24th.
Oh, there's, okay.
Yeah, we got more stuff coming.
Though? We got just one.
Oh, then, yeah. So, and are you coming tomorrow?
Depending on when this airs.
Yeah. Yeah. So a great organization in Las Vegas called the Just One Project, who like serves over 20,000 Las Vegans food. It's like a food, but then they have this leadership academy for kids to help them get their GEDs if they haven't got them yet. And Life by Music has been going in, teaching them guitar. Tomorrow is their graduation. Well, Friday is their graduation, but we have our show. So tomorrow we're doing a special little ceremony where they're playing Seven Nation Army and Soldiers. Like we've taught them. We were there this morning teaching. And like, you know,
last Thursday, JC's gonna come and play some percussion. Like,
that's exciting. He's the cherry on top. I was like, we got someone coming to back us tomorrow.
You better watch out. He's a bad. We were like, he's a bad mofo.
Dude, and it's just exciting. It's so exciting because I mean that one of the girls was late to practice this morning, and she's like in tears
because she missed rehearsal.
Because she missed. And then, you know, we're like, no, we'll stick around. Yeah, you want to play? And like, she's like, yeah, okay, yeah, let's do it. You know, and it's like, these kids are so stoked. And that's what it has become for us, you know.
What age group are they?
They're teens.
Mostly teens.
Yeah.
Mostly teens. Some of them are
some are like 18, 19 years old, and then 17, 18, 19, 20.
So high school graduation.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, great,
That's awesome.
great kids. And yeah, it is really, I never understood that with management and people that we worked with in the past. It's like, this is something really important to us, but you're trying to make sure that it doesn't happen. And like, this isn't going to work. Like, why you're like telling us not to do things that are important to us, and that's like, well, as for managers, for A&R, like if there's an artist and something's very important to that artist, like lean into it because you're going to get the best out of the artist.
Yeah. And especially if it's something that does have this altruistic, larger, like bigger picture implication. Let's not, I mean, there's been a couple of like past ventures where like looking back, it's that was really stupid.
Yeah, 100%.
But this one in particular, Life by Music Initiative, it's like you can see it. There, like the proof is in the pudding. That like the proof of concept is right there. It happens right in front of you. You see these kids react. You see like how
the veterans are so thankful.
The veterans, oh my God, like
that's grown into the shoulder to shoulder. Our line in Soldiers, we stand shoulder to shoulder. Well, we didn't ever just want it to be about just the kids. It was about like the strength and the power of music and how we've continued to do this. All the bullshit we've been through, like it hasn't been about the money for a long time. Like, yeah, we'd like to make a living from it. And yeah, we'd like to service our fans and the groups and then make a living from it. But it hasn't been about the Hollywood Hills, and the mansions for a very long time.
Since we were kids. Yeah.
And so, to be able to do this and focus in on it, there's something really great about it. But the kids, it wasn't just about the kids. It was about everybody. But, the advice was, okay, start with kids. I'm like, yeah, we could do that. Like, we'll start with Boys and Girls Club. We'll bring them out to a show. We'll treat them. We'll get that.
And I mean,
spark.
that went all the way back to, I want to say like 2014,
2016,
2016,
2015, 2016.
Yeah. And I was like a new father at the time. So it like, to me in my head, it was like, oh yeah, this kind of makes.
That's what it was making. Dude, Life by Music was born like that when Adrian was just being born, it was like coming together and it was like, youth. Okay, we'll focus on the youth. We'll build this. Started growing. Got out a bunch of these Guitar Magic booklets. Got out hundreds of guitars to the school district here in Las Vegas. Gave away thousands of dollars in music scholarships to music programs to students. Then it's like, okay, we're doing this. This is rolling. Now let's serve the veterans. Because on the road, touring, we met so many people who are just struggling, that are either active duty or veterans now.
Well, you guys were giving away, I remember a few shows, you guys were giving away stuff for the Independence and with the Independence Fund. Wheelchairs and motorized
They partnered with us. So it's just organically come about, and it's just like, we're not going to stop doing it. So for Friday is very exciting because we get to be on the bass, serving,
bring it all together,
and then, but there's always that celebration part. Like, we're not your typical music teacher. This isn't, School of Rock. This is Life by Music. Like, we're living it. We're going to share with you guys, and we're going to go rock the F out on stage. And then, hopefully this is like a moment that will help guide your life with music. So that music
in some positive form,
Yeah.
And I think for me, that's why it made so much sense that you guys not only continue to do something like this, but lean into it. Like you said, make it official, make it a 501, do all the things that you've done to make it official and to grow it. Because to me, as an executive, like putting on my executive hat, to me, the artists that succeed and are successful at the ventures that they do are true to them. It's true to them. Like you said, the key word I think you said is organic. It's organic. It's not you trying to do something for PR effect or because it's a good tax write-off or something like that, but it's because it's a part of who you guys literally are, and it just makes sense. You know what I mean? And so I think for a lot of artists, a word of advice I would have from my executive side is do what makes sense. You know, like whenever Ryan would talk to me about some things that he wanted to do for Life by Music, it just made sense. It was just like, I want to give away guitars. I want to do the lessons, and maybe you can come in and do this and do that. It just made sense. It made sense for me too, because I used to, speaking of School of Rock, I used to teach at School of Rock when I was in LA. Right. So, and then before then I was teaching, I used to teach at summer camps when I was back home in Philly. Awesome. And so I was all, you know, I'm a teacher at heart. You know what I mean? I stopped because I just got too busy. But I'm a teacher at heart. My mom's a school teacher. She was a school teacher for years. So she kind of passed that bug on to me, as well as the, you know, passion for kids and giving the music back to the kids and all of that.
And we had no idea of this, JB. You know what I'm saying? Like we just knew he was a badass drummer and he's totally pro. Like, fuck, all right, let's go. He's a cool dude. And then it, you know,
funny how those things all kind of fit together, right?
Yeah. But and it's like, how many fucking years did it take for that to kind of fall into place? You know, like it is, again, it feels so good and refreshing to just like, okay, we kind of all get it, you know, like it makes sense. Like JC just said, like it's making sense. And for how many years, JB, would like the record deals are gone now, right? But prior to that, it was all about servicing the label. And it like this other thing that we were trying to do was like kind of like, oh, what the fuck? Like, oh, like, you know, like, oh, you want to be a charity now? Like, but it's like the charity can actually serve not only the kids and the veterans and humans in general, but it can also like serve like people who are now like kids are learning our songs. Yeah, that would
go hand in hand.
It goes hand in hand. You know, exactly.
And you know, it's funny is that for a long time, like when you were working with other management teams, there was times where you're like, don't focus on that. But this goes back to that aspect we were talking about in part one, where the difference between your management style with your artists and 99% of other when we were like, no, this means a lot to us. You're like, all right, let's do it.
Let's go.
Let me spend thousands of dollars on printing out freaking trash cans covered with, you know, for the toy drive, you know, and let me do this. Let me do, you know, like you still put all your focus into what we wanted to do, which, you know, as a marketer and management and wanting to get involved, you know, in the nitty gritty, like you actually did the right thing, you know?
Well, I think, you know, just kind of leaning on what Joe said is that, you know, it's because you guys believed in it, you know, and when you believe in it, you get other people to believe in it too, you know, and
if it's not bullshit, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like you know, well, and going back to, you know, what we were talking about, you know, in part one is that's what drew me to you guys originally, is that you guys were just, you know, you were real people and you didn't look, you know, even though when I first started hanging out with you guys were kind of on that trajectory.
Yeah.
There was no you wouldn't know that.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know that from you guys, you know, because you guys were just like, dude, you're with us. Come with us.
Yeah.
You know,
it's interesting though, because you were cool as shit from the get-go. And so there's a lot of people in the music industry that don't feel that way about us. But then I just want to be like, look in the mirror. You know, because like we just like maybe you're full of shit, you know, and, like you think we are, like maybe you are, you know, like
well, I mean, even going to, you know, all the people that are in the background, you know, when you guys show up for a show and do a show, you guys are, you know, sharing your food with the people that are helping set up who don't get to have any food, you know, and you're like, grab whatever you want. Come on in the green room, do this, do that. You know, that's just,
we're not going to drink all those beers. Grab some beers, man. Like,
exactly.
Like, which it's funny because I don't know if it's like a pay it forward kind of a thing, but that is not how we were treated. We were not treated that way. We were treated like,
I would say, except for Vinny, right?
Vinny Paul. Well, that was the thing too. Is like
Vinny Paul.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's like you seen like a guy like Vinny Paul, who's like he was the biggest rock star we've ever toured with. Really?
Yeah, I mean, without a doubt. Bigger. Like the ones. Well, I mean, Zach Wow was pretty
Zach Wild too. They're like right up there with each other.
But Vinny is like, you know, I mean, Vinny is Vinny Paul.
Yeah, but he we didn't get to hang out with Zach.
We didn't get much hang time with Zach.
We interviewed with him at the Golden God Awards, and you know, we did 7, 8 shows with him, but we did 12 to 15 shows with Vinny.
And to this day, Vinny Paul is still the only massive rock star who took us out to dinner.
Right.
On tour, you know, and we've gone on tour with some big fucking bands, big names with guys with big bank accounts who didn't take us on out to dinner.
Don't get me wrong. He also, you know, he did that. That was him, you know, but the fact that he did it was something that was inspiring, you know, and it was
well, he was always, if he was in town, he was always at your shows.
He was.
And he was always at other band and shows. And he was at other bands too.
And that was the crazy thing is he would hit me up and be like, hey man, you're playing tonight. Can I come through? And I'm like, no, bro. There's no more room on our list. You know? Of course, you're hitting me up to come to my fucking little show.
Hell yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah. So
there's not enough of that. There's just not enough of that.
And there's not enough. There's not, man. And as you were saying earlier, it's it is a small, big industry. And I don't know. I wish there was more. I don't know what the word is exactly. I used it maybe earlier, altruism, or I wish more people were magnanimous, I suppose.
Just more camaraderie just among artists in general, especially artists that are on your same bill. You're on tour with, you know what I mean? And so I've been with you guys, and I know you guys have stories from before, but I've been with you guys on tour with artists that we won't name today who are just dicks. For no reason. We're on the same tour. It's not like we're competing against each other. Yeah, you know what I mean? We're opening for you or whatever. And why wouldn't you want, these artists that you're on the road with to be just as comfortable, to be, to feel good when they get on stage? You know what I mean?
That's how I always felt about it. And I mean, talking to you guys in the past too, it's hey, all these other bands that all these other bands that you guys get along with, you guys should funnel together and work with each other to build each other up rather than, always pushing against each other, because that's what these big, large labels do with all their bands. They only put their bands on with their bands. I mean, Bad Wolves was nothing before Five Finger Death Punch.
It's a smart business model.
And and a couple of, songs with some pretty famous people, but and not to say that they're not a great band. They're a great band.
Right.
But when it comes from a marketing aspect, the way that you introduce a great band is to put them on stage with another great band who already has a ton of fans. Yeah. Right. That's the way that you do it.
Right.
And so, I just always felt that, hey, use these small, your friends like Black Talk Mojo, you guys got along with those guys great, man. Cool and touring with those guys, and you guys were able to share fans because you guys don't have really the same exact fan base. Black Top Mojo's fan base is a little bit different than your fan base is, but both could
complement each other.
Yeah. And I always thought that was really, really important. It started to happen too. We started to bring everybody here during the pandemic.
Dude, that was awesome.
Escape the Fate was here, and
Butcher Baby, Gemini
Syndrome.
Yeah. Who else was here?
Maddie was here from Black Talk.
And Cat. Yeah, we had that footage was so cool. We had old members from the band come back to play. It was
Tony
epic.
Carboni came.
Carboni's still, he's always in the mix. You know what I mean? Shredaloni, he's
always rolling.
It was just good. It was just good energy, especially during a time that was just so
divided. Just isolated,
and the life was just sucked out of everything.
Yeah,
and we somehow were able to keep this rolling. Juice flowing.
But also when you do have that good energy amongst the artists, that comes out on stage, when you are, and it's just good vibes on the tour, you talk about Black Top Mojo and guys like that. It comes out on stage. It comes out in the show. It comes out when people are walking in, when doors open. You know what I mean? You can just feel the energy is just different. And I think that there's not enough of artists who understand that part of it too, the aspect of just making sure you create a good environment, because it's also going to help the product that comes out on stage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's I don't know. There obviously there's like tiers of quote unquote success, right?
Mhm.
Like the bigger the name, the bigger the band. Like, you know, I mean, there was JC. You did the Saliva run with us,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And you remember like that vibe was like those cats were. I mean,
I embarrassed myself one night not eating and drinking too much, but that made them like us more. Like, which is like the complete opposite, you know?
Right.
Like that next day when I was like, oh no, they're like, hey man, what's up? You're crazy.
They're like, he's here.
Yeah.
you know, like instead of like being judgmental and like sitting on this high horse, especially when you've done worse shit.
Yeah.
You've done worse shit yourself. Don't judge us or anyone really.
Yeah.
You know, and there was these pockets like the guys from 10 years. Those were good
awesome
tours. But
yeah,
I, you know, it's like I wish why can't all tours be that?
It's
way?
ego to me.
right.
Why?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
ego.
It's
bro.
just ego,
It's
man.
fucking
Like,
ego, man.
And then this idea of like, if you're not on my level, right? So
Yeah.
if I don't think that, you know, we're next to each other in the charts or we're, you know what I mean? Then I'm not worried about whether you have a water in your green room or whether or not, you know, you have enough things that you know, whatever it is that you need in your bus or whatever. Yeah. And I think also, like I said, just the lack of mind of thinking about the show as well. You know what I mean? Like you have a miserable artist, you're going to have a miserable opener. You know
which
what I mean?
is part of your show.
Which is a part of your show. Right. Your name is like, if you're whoever.
Yeah, I would be making sure that, you know, well, it was like when you guys went and played main support for Godsmack, right? It's like, hey, we want to put our banner up. Sure, go ahead, put your banner up. Give it to us. Bring it over to us. We'll get it set up for you. No problem.
Right.
You know, and watching him, you know, I saw him like a year later. He was with Stint. He was out with Stint, and he has a documentary, you know, and he talks about all the bands and that same camaraderie, how all those bands from Boston, and that's why he knows Aaron Lewis, and they still hang together to this day. They still do tours together to this day because back in those days, they were just
had each other's back.
They had each other's back.
Yeah.
You know, it's so weird. It's so funny because I just got a text from my wife and daughters, and they're like, "Hey, make sure to show Adrian and Ryan this." They brought their two friends that lived in Chicago to the shows in 2020, to the live streams, and these guys are responding back. You know, ever since that Otherwise show you brought us to, I have been extra inspired for music and stuff.
Oh,
really?
Dope.
I'm happy to hear that. I know that was a long time ago, but he kind of hinted that it's never too late to start.
Wow,
right?
That's cool.
And then it's true. I still listen to Otherwise, haha. And my daughter said, really? And Dion said, this is our Bloodline lullaby. I think Lighthouse is my favorite song, honestly. I'm obsessed in sending it to my dad, haha.
Dang.
That's dope.
Right? So, you know, it's
That's
funny
real
how
time?
those
That's real
this
time?
is real time. Like my wife just texted that. We're just talking about it. And I just read through it and I'm like, oh, that could wait. What? Oh no, we got to talk about that right now. That is the weirdest thing that we were just talking about that.
Hell.
And those guys were at that same show with everybody, with Evan and Gemini and Maddie and everybody.
And you know, the footage that we released the one version of Soldiers, right?
Yeah.
And that song could be viewed as politically divisive in a sense, right? You know, pro-military and
you could. I mean, that's the weird thing though, is today
anything could be.
If you can be offended
military,
easily, yes.
Being patriotic today is controversial. That's weird to me. I didn't grow up that way. My dad was in the military for 20 years. I was, taught and raised to, support your military, do all of those kind of things, be patriotic of your country. Don't let the flag touch the ground, all of those kind of things. So for me to see that today, it's beyond my comprehension. I don't understand that world.
Right. And aside from those politically divisive things that you just touched on that stage, in that I don't know, 4.5, 5 minutes, you've got different races, different genders, different social and financial classes, all 100%. On the same stage, just jamming to music, to a song that like can mean whatever the fuck you want it to mean, you know, like, and that's a moment that I'll never forget because it was, again, right in the middle of that goddamn pandemic. And I mean, the song itself is about fighting through and staying and keeping your dream alive or whatever. And that's what we were doing. That's what we did.
Well, and that's what the military does for this country. It keeps this country's dream alive, right?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
absolutely.
And that's how it fits so perfectly with it.
And whether or not you agree with the politicians who are dictating what our military has to do or doesn't have to do, those people who are like volunteering to do it they're the ones that come to the shows and make my eyes water, like make me tear up. Because something that I wrote that we performed that didn't necessarily have the same meaning when it came out of us is, you know what I'm saying? Now it means something. It makes it even
make it that much more to you,
right?
Because
it's like, holy shit, I didn't even see it from that perspective, you know, like, and that's where I think a lot of the social discourse is lacking nowadays, is that you can't see something, even if you don't necessarily agree with or believe in something that somebody else believes in, if you can just be like, oh wow, I never really thought of it that way. That makes the whole it's a whole new world, you know, like it's the beauty of music and life by music. And we ain't done yet, bro. Ain't done yet.
That's the truth.
Well, you know, I think before we get out of here, I think we should just touch on the fact that you guys do have these new releases coming out.
Yeah.
And is there anything specific that you guys want to bring up about these songs? Couple of new ones, you know, couple of old ones, a couple of remakes. Yeah. One of my favorites, you know, is coming out. Talk to us a little bit about that before we head out of here.
I'm really excited personally, you know, like harkening back to what we discussed in part one, you know, before JC showed up and when we were discussing the origins of the band and how we got to where we're at. I'm very excited about the fact that a good portion of these songs were released when we were originally independent, and now we are independent again. And
they have the opportunity to release them.
And the opportunity, exactly, to release them now under our own terms, on our own terms.
That's big.
Yeah. You know, we have enough. It's not a gigantic fan base. You know, we're not a household name.
Yeah.
You know, well, again, if you know the word otherwise, you already know
it. You say our name.
You say it every goddamn day. You just don't realize it.
Household name.
But to have enough of a platform now to where we can release our music the way we want it to sound, the way we intend it for the I hate using the word consumer, but the let's say the appreciator, like for the way we want them to be able to appreciate it on any field or of consciousness that they want to interpret it through, right? Any prism. We can now we're doing that now without, no one's telling us, well, we have to wait until this date because there's this other release and you know, it just doesn't line up fiscally in the budget. Like, fuck, dude, we don't. Yeah. You know, it's like,
don't have to live that dream anymore, do you?
It's so liberating, man. And it's like, once again, it's like it's just fucking music, dude. Like, it's music. It's not. We're not curing cancer. You know what I mean? Like, we're just like kind of healing ourselves on some spiritual, emotional level. And it'll connect. It already has connected enough to where we have this platform now to where we can put it out on our own fucking terms.
Yeah.
And actually like maybe make a living.
Well, you know, and just going back to one of the songs, Lighthouse, that's going to be one of the re-releases. You have even Kevin Churko, who's excited about doing this and even wanted to remix the song to today's standards, right? To make sure that it can sound as great as it could be. Alex, can you throw up Kevin Churko for us? For those who don't know,
we always wanted Kevin Churko to be our producer, and you know, labels, they didn't want to invest into him being our producer. And it's just funny that now that we're finally independent, you know, this guy that was out of reach for these, like, we weren't worth it to the labels to go to this guy. But hey, once we're finally independent, he's here, like, ready to make the sonds that we did with him before them come out.
And his son Kane.
And Kane too.
Kane's like, I mean, again, it's like now we can. What my brother just said is like the investors didn't necessarily believe in us enough to fork out the money, right? Worth.
Well, and I can tell you that anybody that's here in Las Vegas, you know, if you're looking to, you know, get some great mixes and production, the Hideout is like the place to go out here, right?
It's the best studio in town.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, it's not just in town, dude. I mean, from here to like LA and like Phoenix, like,
oh yeah,
you know what I mean? Like in the Southwest, it's one of the best fucking studios out there.
That's
right.
You know what I mean?
So and it's cool that
you have you know, in this moment, Ozzy Osbourne, Disturbed,
Five Finger Death
Punch, Five Finger Death Punch.
Yeah, it's just really exciting to have you know, like it's on our terms now. And that's like, you know, we were talking, Joe is like such a you know, supporter, and you know, he's really like, man, you guys know your worth. Like, I don't know, it's very hard to get through to us two at the same time. Like, I don't know, you guys could agree, but I know we're both very thick-headed, strong-minded, stubborn people. But you know, you guys have in your own rights been there, and we respect you both so much in different ways and same ways. And you know, it's like you guys have like know your worth and like do it on your terms, and you know, and now here we are, you know, and we ain't done yet. So there's more to come, and it's exciting. We don't have to wait around for shit anymore, you know. It's like, JC, you want to go cut a track next week?
Let's go cut the fucking track.
We'll cut the track and then release it the next week. You know,
put it out in a week.
We don't have to wait. Right. You played, you know, drums on Godzillionaire, which that record rocked. You know, we were so stoked on it. You did the album cover here at Structure. That got screwed out, but it like pushed out here. You can't do that. Can't do this. Too offensive. This blah blah blah. You know, the drums were amazing. Now we get to do whatever the fuck we want, whenever the fuck we want. You know, and that is.
And we're not going to get sued by Godzilla people. The guys who made Godzilla is going to just tear this whole thing down. They're going to shut you down.
Yeah, I'm so glad Godzilla didn't come and shut us down. But yeah, man.
But you know, like before we sign off here, like that, you brought up a really good point just a second ago, that if we got guys like John Boyko and Joe Connor, their level of talent, their level of acumen, and just human decency, and they kind of like us, I'm like, okay, maybe I should try to kind of like myself a little bit more. You know what I mean? So
yeah, dude.
I love you guys for that.
Hell yeah. I always, AP, a lot of times when we'll get off stage, he'll be like, oh, sorry if I messed this up. I'm like, dude, you slapped today. Yeah. Like lean into, you know, no one has a perfect show, but then sometimes, you know, just the musician, the artist in us is thinking about a bump in the road here and there. And he is real meticulous in that way. And so if we get off stage and the energy in the room is bananas and it's just, you know, you can feel when you slap a little bit. And he'll be like, did I mess this up? I'm like, dude, I don't give a fuck about that. Like, you smacked today, you know what I mean? Like, lean into that and be okay with knowing that, like,
I mean, that's the great thing with rock music too, or just music in general, right? Is nobody remembers the screw ups in music. They only remember the moment,
how they felt.
Yeah, and how they felt.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, that's a famous quote. I think is it Oprah who said it, or no one remembers what you said, but they remember what you said to them, but they remember how you made them feel. Something along that line. It's like,
but I mean, even the biggest rock stars. You know, I was with my daughters at Bring Me the Horizon a couple weeks ago, and Ollie fell on the stage, and he brings it up that like, I hope you guys didn't see me slip on stage, right? And even like, you know, because I think as band, you know, band members and you guys are looking for perfection every single day, right? Yeah. You guys are trying to do the best that you can out there. So you guys are looking for the mistakes, but nobody else sees them, you know, and if you're off a beat here or there, nobody else can hear them either. You know, you might be, and I talk about this in my industry too. You know, we'll walk around trade shows and stuff, and you know, some people will be pointing out, you know, oh, you know, that's scratch. Right there. This is. I was like, yeah, but if you look at it from this perspective instead of this perspective, it looks awesome. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Right. Nobody sees those little things. I see them because I build them every day.
Right.
You know, but nobody else sees those imperfections.
Yeah. But off of the stage, off of the showroom floor, beyond that is what to me personally is very rewarding, because again, for whatever reason, and like trying, I don't know, maybe I should. I remember a very famous rock star once told me at a little shithole bar on the west in like the Summerlin area that you need to have a bigger ego. You need to be a bigger prick. And I was like, no, I don't. Like, I'm just being me. Like, why? I'm not gonna fake it, right? Like, So my point is that off of the stage, off of the showroom floor, away from the perfection, the chasing the perfectionism is. My brother and I are blessed. I mean, fuck, man. You guys are here. You could be anywhere else doing anything else with your like invaluable time, and we're here doing this together, man.
Well, likewise, you know.
Yeah.
The same thing with you guys. I appreciate you guys all being in here. I appreciate you guys being like on Ryan and I's first show too. You know, it's like if we're gonna have a first show, dude, it's got to be this show.
Well, dude, you know, we've been like, Joe's been able to come around a lot more. We're just like, dude, when AP gets here, you know, we got to do something cool. And it's like now he's here in the flesh, and this is badass. You know, like it's like freaking awesome, man. And there's no better guest than to have, you know, the AP and the JC, you know, on this
first of many, man. Hopefully we'll get some other like
we'll keep
top-notch dudes in here.
Yeah,
it's good to it's just good to see a thought come to fruition from its infancy to this. I always love. I'm a big nerd about the process, and so for me, the exciting thing about being with you guys, my one of my favorite times was the process of recording an album and then seeing the album come out and then seeing Full D go top 10 in the charts and all of that. And because I remember when it was just an idea, right? Mm-hmm. And so for this, it's the same thing. It's just exciting to see it grow. And JB is always growing his business. We were just talking about before we started filming another aspect of his business that's growing. I feel like every time I talk to JB, he's doing something else that's amazingly great and expanding and growing. So just kudos to you guys for taking that idea and blowing it up like this. I'm honored to be here.
Yeah. I think that's that's one of the biggest things I love about this is watching that concept of creation, man. You know? And just how those stages happen. And then all of a sudden, boom, this thing comes out. Mm-hmm. It's always incredible. And it's just the experience of doing it all and the late nights phone calls that we would have. And, so many brainstorming situations and the fights. And I don't want to do it like that. It needs to be like this. And I think you should do it that way. And it should be this way. Everybody's like striving for that perfection. And it just, that's what you can feel, the passion that comes out of that. You know, for sure.
Yeah. Big props to Alex in the back, man, making us look and sound good. Big props.
Alex, you're Awesome, man.
So
Appreciate you.
Yeah, dude. Thank you, Alex. I was thinking there's like something I want to say, which could be something fun for our future podcasts too. And I'll go first. Like I don't know what it was just like coming to me after listening and being able to like speak to you guys and listen to you guys. And it's like, I'm like, what would be one thing that you would say to your younger self if you could like go back, you know? And I know this podcast, we want to talk about marketing and business and, you know, but it's so important. Like none of that's important unless like you have a connection with yourself, you know, and you have that heart and that spirit tied into your intentions. And I'll go first because I would say like, don't be so hard on yourself, but stay aggressively accountable in the pursuit of those things that make you feel alive. I would, that's what I would say to my younger self, you know.
What about you, AP?
Man, that's a loaded question. I guess I used to crack this joke in interviews and say, well, I would go back and tell myself, get a good lawyer. You know, that's what I would say to my younger self, right? But now that we've had this like discussion that's gone all the way from marketing, promotion, business, and into the spiritual realm, the personal realm, I think I would tell my younger self that I spend a lot, and I still do it. I spend a lot of time being angry at myself, like being, you know, even if it wasn't necessarily my fault, but even more so if it was, right?
Yeah.
I think I would tell, you know, my 8-year-old self when I was 8, when he was born, like, look, kid, like, I don't know, just don't be so angry at yourself all the time. And then maybe you won't be that angry out in the world.
Yeah. What about you, Joey?
Honestly, it would be to run your own race. I think a big part about what I love that you guys said today was like talking about how things that you're doing come organically to you and it's true to who you are. And I believe that that's how you become successful. And I think when I was younger, me personally, I paid too much attention to what everybody else was doing, what my friends were doing and how far along they had gotten and what endorsement that they got at what age and everything like that. And I wished that sooner in life, I had just leaned into being authentically me and just embraced the parts of me that were different, because I found out that when I got older, they were assets, not liabilities, right? But I was trying to fit into everybody else's box, right? I was just trying to do what I saw my friends do or do this. And then I got older and realized the thing that was going to, you know, make me happy, successful, you know, financially sound and all of these other things were things that were when I was just leaning into things that I knew was just authentically me, things that I was good at, things that I had a knack for that maybe every other musician didn't. But my business side, my whatever these other things are that are now business ventures for me. When I was younger, I was kind of like, well, drummers don't do that. You know what I mean? And then I just had to lean into the fact that I'm just not just a drummer. I'm just not just a musician. You know what I mean?
You're other than supposed, man.
Say it again.
You're other than supposed.
That's a bar, bro. I put that on a t-shirt. Yeah, dude. So just run your own race. Be authentically you, I think.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
What about you, JB?
You know, I would just say that, you know, and just based on all of your answers is that don't not follow your dreams. You know, because they're only as far away as you make them, right? You know, I've talked to AP, you know, and you, Rye, about, you know, just the idea that, you know, you might not be the number one band in the world, but you're still 99.9% further than most bands dream of getting, you know? And that is success in itself. And, you know, money doesn't always equal success. I think it's so low on the totem pole. You know, it's meeting the expectations for yourself and creating your own success is what makes success. You can have all the money in the world and it doesn't make you any more successful.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about what you feel you've done and what you've accomplished. That really makes your life, because I mean, you guys wrote a song about it, right?
They don't come with pockets.
Don't come with pockets. Man.
They sure don't.
They don't. So yeah, that's what I would say. Just follow your dreams. Follow your dreams, and the dreams will guide you exactly where you need to be.
So did you already build a time machine and go back and say this to your younger self? You're like living proof of what you just fucking said. Like, where's this time machine at?
He's like, I actually did.
John's like, I actually did tell myself.
Hey guys, I wanted to tell you something at the end of this. I'm in a new
You guys
industry.
want to step into the other office here and go back and see what happened at that SKOA album?
Yeah. We could go back to before we signed and
Right.
just not put the pen to the paper. Awesome, man.
It's been a great time, man. I appreciate you guys all coming too.
Yeah.
And this has been awesome, man.
Yeah.
So this is episode 2 of Ain't Done Yet, right?
This is episode 2.
This
We
is
had
part
1
2,
and
yeah.
this is part 2. And we're in it to win it, man.
All right. Alex, you the man. We'll see you guys next time on Ain't Done Yet podcast here in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada with JB, RP, JC,
And AP.
and I'll be back one of these days.
Yeah.